This is the intro. I got nothing else after that. Yeah, so Think Before You Sleep released a new video. It's on how the left became, well, and I'm just gonna have to assume you can read. I don't want to say it within the first, I think 30, 40 seconds of YouTube. But yeah, no, this is something I've been wondering. And let's just say that they've been using some very spicy language and implications, beating around the bush a lot. And yep.
Nope, should hack.
Should. Okay. Anyway, let's see what Think Before You Sleep has to say about this, because his videos are usually pretty insightful and they're curated clips basically. So we'll find plenty of times to pause, give some thoughts, and keep going. But I might let him go for longer stretches than normal, just because I want to get through this video. I don't know if I want to ×2 speed it, but we'll definitely get going.
Should have brought my iPad.
Aw, I'm sorry. I don't think you have headphones for that, though. Oh well. Here we go.
We just have simple disagreements. Republicans are ugly.
No, you. We're going to throw ad hominems. I'll throw it right back. All right.
They're immoral and
Citation.
they're fascist.
What? What Republicans are you talking about? If they were fascists, they would have a spine at least. My goodness. No, they are more like jellyfish. They basically just get pushed over by the Democrats. Okay. Republicans are kind of just a stop, not even a stop. They're a very lightly applied brake pad to the Democrats. They slow down the RPM very little. Oh man. What is this guy on?
I don't want anything to do with them. That's the reality of what Republicans are today in America.
Well, that escalated quickly. Is he going to say why Republicans are fascist? Nope, he's just going to allude to some vague media story that people can't recognize anymore because it was too long ago. So basically, this is just a 1 minute short of the Young Turks owner and horse enthusiast, Cenk Uygur, calling his political...
What is it with people on the left and being horse enthusiasts? You got Cenk, you got Vaush. What is it with these men and loving horses? I guess maybe they're fans of Bad Dragon then. My goodness. There's no...
I have no clue.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Horse enthusiasts. Guys, this needs to stop.
Opponent's evil with no explanation. Is it any wonder why the modern left is becoming more and more a synonym for the word violence, especially after watching every reasonable person flee that party or get ousted for not being far left enough?
That happened to Bill Maher somewhat. So if you like Bill Maher, you are really getting pushed in the opposite direction, it seems. Man, you got Bill Maher waking other people up too. It's pretty crazy. Of all people, Bill Maher. Oh.
But the way we got here is not a mystery. In fact, I think a lot of the progression towards radicalism is quite intentional. Speaking of the Young Turks, allow me to introduce you to former employee Jimmy Dore, telling the Young Turks audience to assault cops.
When you're around cops, right, you're like, oh, you want to be like compliant, right? But at the same time, if you don't know they're going to slam your head into a car.
They won't if you don't resist.
Isn't this the guy who said people should be allowed to give in bestiality?
Yeah, that's Cenk. This guy, on the other hand, has had direct calls to violence, and I'm so glad I haven't heard anything recent from him because he was insufferable. Yeah, Jimmy Dore is not a good guy at all. When he talks about cops, he basically makes it sound like it's you or them in every situation, when in reality, usually it's like a code enforcement or an infringement. Like, if the cop's just going to write you a ticket, he's probably just tired and wants to get it over with. So, doing his job. If you cooperate at a traffic stop, you are not going to have issues. You just fight the traffic ticket later. Don't make the cop's job miserable. My goodness, they aren't out to get you necessarily. Sometimes they are, but that's usually speed traps. Helps if you know the cops too. This is why we need micro societies. These super large million+ societies, they ain't working.
Or something like, you don't want to be so compliant. Right. Like, so when do I fight them? When do I give a little resistance?
I've watched enough body cam footage to know that almost every time someone's having a bad experience with the police is because they were violently resisting arrest after breaking the law. So his advice to be extra confrontational towards the police instead of being assertive and polite is going to get people killed.
Yeah. Like if a policeman pulls you over, all you got to do is say, if they ask, you know why I pulled you over? I think usually the best answer is you tell me. Yeah, I'm not a mind reader. But when they say you were speeding and they ask you like, do you know what the speed limit
We
is?
need
Blah,
more
blah.
donut lord cops that everyone knows.
Yeah, small town cops makes life easier. But I think big cities are the problem because when you have a smaller community and everyone knows each other and trusts each other, the police aren't really that bad.
Now, in this specific case that Jimmy was talking about, the would have been justified, but the issue here is that he applies this advice generally to police encounters while suggesting with no evidence that the woman they're talking about in the last clip was assaulted by the officer because she was black.
But what's wrong with this guy? Is it like a power thing? Is it roid rage? Is it something like weirdly sexual?
I would guess the woman was not white who he did this to.
Oh.
This
Oh, hang on. He's about to explain it. Never mind.
was said in 2013, around the time that BLM started. Non-white means black because those were the types of videos that were going viral during that period. So the suggestion is that the officer attacked a woman for being black, and he made this assertion with no evidence.
Yeah, they do that a lot, don't they? These sort of rabid anti-cop people. They're like, yes, this assault happened because this person was this, and we don't know any of the other context. How do we know they didn't resist? All that stuff. What's the police report say? I mean, they assume racism every single time, and it makes the actual racism cases harder to believe because, well, now we have to contend with the ones that are, may not be. What if it's just regular misconduct? What if it's sexism? There's so many other reasons that it could be. You never know.
She was white. And the problem is that when you make this kind of assertion on a topic that's already been heated since Rodney King in the 90s, followed by saying that you should be violent towards police officers, you're going to inspire certain people to take action. Which brings us to this guy, Gavin Long, who is a fan of the Young Turks and killed 4 police officers.
They copyright claimed all of his videos to get rid of the evidence. They did takedown notices on him. Like that's they know they messed up. That's why they did that. There's no other way. No, well, allegedly, I have to say. But man, the Young Turks, they're not a good organization. If you get your news from them, literally, like the milk carton is a better place for news than the Young Turks.
Before the shooting, Gavin had uploaded reaction videos to content from the Young Turks, one of them being where Jimmy Dore said this in response to a police dispute that actually involved a black woman this time who was being arrested.
Well, accountability for who? Because they want accountability for the cops, but I think they don't understand what accountability means. Maybe you're right. Because they want the cops accountable for something they didn't do
for themselves.
Yeah. Well, they want accountability to flow one way. Got it. Yeah, that's called manipulation. It's a manipulative tactic and is toxic.
I don't know what I would do in that situation. So if you go over and you confront the cops, which you would do in any other situation if they weren't cops.
That's right.
In any other situation, if there were 2 grown men pouncing on a woman who is pregnant and she's screaming and she's not a threat to anybody, you would go over there and you would start by punching those guys. That's how you...
I don't know if I would do that. I might call the cops.
Citation needed.
Yeah, also the context of that situation doesn't sound cut and dry like he's making it sound. But if your first instinct is to like go and assault someone, I guess like in the course of committing assault, if you are, I'm not that big. I'm kind of small. What I would do is call the cops if I saw that exact situation, even if it was other cops doing it. But maybe I would yell or something, but I wouldn't put my neck out for someone. I should be like, hey guys, that seems a bit excessive. Think of the optics, because now she gets to play victim. I don't know.
Yeah, I would call the police and hope they get there in time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not about to do anything against police officers. So, usually when I see someone getting roughed up by the police, I just kind of assume there is a reason for it. But then again, I think that's more the geography. Yeah, he's probably never thrown a punch in his life. You're right. If anything, he's most likely probably soyed out and scolded. You just imagine, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, officer. If you don't keep that up, I'm going to get mad. Get a big mad at you. And I'm going to get vicious with my noodle arms. Prepare to get whipped with my noodles. Yeah, no, it's this guy is any self-respecting cop would just kind of look at him and be like, Move along, sir. Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore. Honestly, I think in any actual
He knows he
confrontation,
wouldn't do anything, just trying to incite something.
exactly. So I think in any like real physical altercation, we might have to change Jimmy Dore's name to Jimmy Doormat because he's gonna get walked on.
Would start.
Hey, retard, in this hypothetical example where you're the hero, do you know any of the context before you start acting? Are you saying that people should beat up cops because they hear a woman shouting? What if she had a gun and was threatening people? What if she was screaming things that were untrue to garner sympathy from bystanders? Criminals do that all the time, so telling people to assault cops based on small amounts of information that they would realistically have in a situation like this is incredibly irresponsible. The full context is on screen for those who care, but basically a pregnant...
I care. Let's see what the whole context is, please. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Wiping it out. All right. The woman here called the police after the black lady was allegedly driving recklessly in a school parking lot / school zone with children present. The white lady told the black lady that she can't drive like that, and the black lady reportedly parked right next to the white lady, punched her window, and began to violently scream at her. The white lady then called the cops, and an arrest was made after the black lady refused to identify herself. It is implied that the white lady called the police because the black lady was threatening her and would not let her leave her car. Okay, yeah. If that's the full context, I mean, why would you intervene on that? Sounds like she was already kind of violent.
Yeah, that's just assault.
Yeah. It's
I would arrest her too.
Yeah.
black woman was put face down on her stomach and put in handcuffs for failing to identify. The baby ended up being fine when she was born, but why was this woman put into that position? Well,
I don't know about property destruction, but maybe vandalism. I don't know if it caused permanent damage, but it was definitely an assault on the property.
it's because she was resisting arrest. Yes, the arrest was unlawful because in California, you don't have to identify in that specific context. However, instead of educating people on how stupid it is to resist arrest unless your life is in danger, even if that arrest is unlawful, Jimmy suggests that basically all cops are racist and you should be violently hostile towards them.
She's not reason to arrest her. And she's not going anywhere.
That's not true.
California
If you watch the
is
footage, you
stupid.
can...
Oh yeah, she's clearly trying to run. She's trying to get to her car so she can book it from the cops. Yeah, California is stupid. Their laws are ridiculously bad. I don't know. I lived in California for a while, but I didn't live
And this is
in
why
California.
black people's stereotypes are more than stereotypes.
Careful there. You can say that. I can't. But yeah, no. So she's clearly about to run from the cops here. I don't think that's a smart move. Just, what if they let her off with a citation? You know what I mean? So glad we're not monetized because that would have gotten us demonetized right there. Just saying. Oh well. The stereotypes are Sony and Bose. What about JLB or JBL and Skull Candy?
Bose is pretty good.
Yeah, true.
LOL sheep.
All right, let's continue the video. Does she look like she's running?
see her walking away from the police.
He already said there wasn't a crime that was committed, yet you are black, and I'm a little pissed off that you're not.
Did he say there wasn't a crime that was committed? Punching someone's window. I mean, that's intimidation at least, right? Right? My goodness, I have no idea what to make of this.
Doing exactly what I said. So I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to brutalize you right now in public in front of a school. I don't give a fuck because I'm a cop, and that's why I became a cop, because I'm not a big thinker and I like brutality.
For one,
Did that say sheep? I think it did. ATS had a moment. That guy said he was a...
He really wishes he were a cop.
Apparently. That or he's just making a really bad joke. His title is comedian. Does he take that as carte blanche to indirectly call for violence then? Because that's not a joke. That's a threat. Good grief.
He's really jealous that he can't abuse people.
Yeah, maybe. But he can abuse my senses because my goodness, his voice grates. And that's coming from someone that hates the sound of their own voice. My goodness.
Jimmy fails to mention that the white lady said someone else witnessed the black girl punching her car and violently screaming at her, so the black lady might have lucked out with an unlawful arrest for failure to identify. She could have very well been guilty, and that might be the actual reason for why she was resisting. More importantly, and I withheld this information from earlier for dramatic effect, But if you go frame by frame on the body cam footage, which the Young Turks should know to do, they're a news organization, but if you go frame by frame, you can see the pregnant black lady is actually put on her side, not her stomach. She's on her side the whole time. So while this arrest was technically unlawful, the cops, in fact, were not trying to beat her up. The way the Young Turks reported this story, followed by their conclusion about cops, is actually kind of evil.
Outright lie,
People
also
in the
lie.
police
My
like
goodness.
brutality. That's why they're cops. They dig this shit. Those cops are
My word. Attributing motive right there, man. Good grief. Why was he allowed on any of their programs? He's clearly unhinged, right? Like, you calling all cops bad. This is more ACAB nonsense. I can't stand it.
brutal maniacs.
Whether she was guilty of a crime.
Why is he so angry?
I have no idea why he's so angry.
Because their program is unhinged itself.
Yeah, that is the Young Turks in a nutshell. I mean, their choice in name is interesting enough. If we look up Armenia, you'll probably find out why people wouldn't like the name the Young Turks. Oh well, moving on.
Crime or not, if the cops are engaged in an unlawful arrest, do not resist unless your life is in danger. Assert your rights and then punish them in court, not on the streets. Going back to Gavin Long, in response to these Jimmy Dore clips, you can see the Young Turks fan is repeating the same rhetoric that Jimmy said, while also saying that he will beat up cops, as the Young Turks segment he's reacting to is being reflected on his glasses.
By the way, there's nothing to de-escalate. Nothing's happened. They come in, they escalate.
The cops came in. You're supposed to be the de-escalator. You came in and escalated the situation.
What if they started
Citation needed. And it'd be a real shame if the body camera footage existed and you could just check this for yourself. My goodness. It's easier just to get off on a wrongful arrest. You don't even need a lawyer for that. You just explain the situation to the judge, and the judge can call it for you.
Body cam footage is what killed the BLM movement. Lol.
Yeah, it really did. Because a lot of the body cam footage comes out and it shows, oh wait, this person was actually being like violent towards the police. Yeah, there's so much of that online these days. Kind of nuts.
punching her?
They didn't punch her, though.
Nope.
Even though the arrest was unlawful, they used minimum force considering the circumstances.
What if they started punching her?
Right. Then
So you just let it go?
I don't know. What would you
At
do?
what point do you step in?
I'm not sitting and watching.
I don't know what I would do.
I don't know what I would do.
I will open my trunk and get a tire iron. And
What? Good grief, dude. Seriously? Is it because you're weak? Need a force multiplier to even like actually present potential force? I have no idea. My goodness. This guy, he probably doesn't even like exercise normally. He's too scrawny. I bet he's vegan. I don't know. I don't see him doing much in a fight. Like even if we just put him in as every stat for him is a dump stat. Yeah, no, he's failing on intelligence, definitely on wisdom. Maybe he has a 10 charisma and he's just kind of skating on that because looks like he's got a constitution of 7, a dexterity of maybe 9, and a strength of 4. I just D&D stat listed this man. Let's go. Oh, but no, for real, like, what does this guy think the ego on this man? Goodness.
then call my dad.
And he says he'll get the tire iron. I don't know what I'll do, but I'm not sitting and watching. I would have came through. I would have not complied. I would have died by protecting that woman.
Why? That's like throwing yourself at an altercation you don't really need to be in. Well, then again, what this guy ended up doing, it kind of explains it. Oh,
That's
yeah.
a literal murderer there.
Yep. Inspired by the Young Turks.
Okay,
Yeah.
dude.
Yep. Yeah. Oof.
Protect her from what? All they did was put her in handcuffs. She wasn't in any danger, despite the Young Turks deliberately trying to make their audience believe she was being beat up for being black. It's like he's being programmed, and he'll act in whatever way they tell him. Also, if you watch Actual Justice Warriors video on it, you can see him saying some schizo stuff about race. So the fact that the Young Turks are pointing out that she was black and then accusing the cops of being racist when there's no evidence of it is important. 2 cops not knowing the law about identification in California and arresting someone for it is not racism. It's them being idiots, and it's something they should be punished for, but the evidence that it was racially motivated is entirely speculation from the Young Turks.
Yeah, so The no requirement to ID in California, I think, is something they need to teach a little bit better. But that's a police training issue, not so much a systemic issue, I guess, in the sense of like racism. It's more of you guys need to understand what the rules are. Yeah.
I would trade California for Japan any day.
I would trade California for a bag of jelly beans. It could be like one of those little ones that you give out for Halloween. I'd take that. I like the jelly beans. That'd be a lot better.
The only racism that came out of this situation was from the black lady herself.
She just called the police for whatever reason. I don't know.
Well, some people just feel like sometimes they're,
okay, well, I just feel threatened by her because she's white.
What's that?
And she's white. And
Oh, my word. Give away California for free. I would give someone $1 to take it. Like, California's so cooked. My goodness. I would pay a disposal fee on it.
I know there's a way to secede from the union, but is there a way to kick them out?
Constitutional convention, I think. Just be like, yeah, we don't want to deal with you anymore. Too much baggage. I wouldn't even kick out all of California, honestly. I would just kick out LA and San Francisco. We'll leave California at the fire department. They'll sort it out. Good grief. Good grief.
she's making threats to me. I felt threatened by her.
So the Young Turks saying that this was a racist attack and titling their video, "She's pregnant and black, they're cops, you know how this ends," followed by telling their audience to assault cops is problematic because everyone has people like Gavin Long in their audience, some more than others.
Yeah, I was also a Nation of Islam member.
Some actually a lot more than others, which is why you don't encourage violence when
She's
you
a shiny turd, trying to dress nice but still talking ghetto.
Dollars to donut. She's on Snap. Oh no.
Publicly, Young Turks fan Gavin Long went on to ambush and shoot 6 police officers, killing 4 of them about 2 weeks after the death of Alton Sterling, who lived in the same community. Alton Sterling was yet another black man who would still be alive if he had followed police orders.
If you want to make it out of a situation safely and alive, listen to the officer's commands.
Contrary to what TYT's Jimmy Dore might say, a quick trip to the station is not worth your life.
Gavin Long was directly inspired by the Young Turks. Gavin Long made reaction videos to Young Turks videos about the police. There were calls for violence in those Young Turks videos. He had a specific affinity for protecting black women in his mind. And one of those videos in particular was a video where the Young Turks baselessly speculated that a woman slammed by the police was in fact slammed because she was a black woman, even though in reality, she was a white woman.
Right, I agree. I think the Young Turks misrepresenting multiple news stories in a racially charged manner, followed by telling viewers to violently escalate around police, directly inspired Gavin Long to do what he did.
Yeah, there's a pretty easy connection to make there. Pretty sure that guy, Gavin Long, I think he was found guilty of murder. Man, so he probably had a few screws loose up in the head, you know? And that's why they tell you to be so careful about calls to violence and all that. That's why you do like the allegedly and all the other stuff, theoretically, make sure that people understand, you know, and maybe you're not talking literally. The Young Turks don't do that. They don't get punished as often as anyone else. They don't get banned. They don't get demonetized. And, you know, I guess the counterexample is Steven Crowder got demonetized for selling a shirt that said socialism is for figs, like the fruit. I mean, it just happens to be one letter away from a bundle of sticks. But, you know, socialism is honestly, I don't think it's even for anything. It's kind of terrible. I don't think it's ever worked. Anyway, point is, you've got the Young Turks talking reckless all the time, and Steven Crowder gets in trouble for making a joke. Proportionality doesn't exist.
Very clearly race baiting and encouraging their audience members to be violent. But here's the best part.
And now, you want to probably know what the Young Turks' response
Hey,
was
it's
to all
Nux.
this. Well, first, they copyright struck all of the reaction videos so that you can't actually go to Gavin Long's YouTube channel and see the Young Turks plastered all over there. So they copyright struck all of those channels. And then, are you ready for the real psycho twist? They said that he was probably a right-winger, even though they knew that he was a super fan of their rhetoric.
2 days after the shooting, the Young Turks memory hold the evidence that he was a fan and tried to blame Republicans by calling him a sovereign citizen or other titles that are associated with right-wing politics.
Called him a sovereign citizen type? Are they trying to invoke Ruby Ridge here? What? What? Really? Good grief. Yeah, I can see that like-dislike ratio. My goodness. I only get that bad whenever I cover Warren Smith. That's because he likes the J.K. Rowling, apparently. And, I mean, I've got different reasons for not liking J.K. Rowling, but that's my reasons. I don't really care about what she says about other things. I just don't like Harry Potter. My goodness. Let's say anti-government sovereign citizen member responsible. No, it should say Young Turks superfan responsible. News reporting is not their strong suit, apparently. You know, for a news network, they don't do a very good job.
He was part of the New Freedom Group, apparently, an anti-government group. This is a
Apparently? Okay, so they have no real sources for that, and then they just kind of pulled that one out of their butt. Good grief.
group that is afraid of government power and is, yes, they're right-wing.
Now, this happened a while back, so you would think that the Young
So
Turks would
desperate.
have learned their lesson and started to lower the temperature on the type of language that they use. But nope, a handful of years after
TYT
this...
got rid of their superfan videos?
Yeah, no, they copyright struck him into oblivion, so that way his channels would get banned, so now no one can look up the evidence against them. But the archive, Internet Archive, kind of beat him there. Oh my goodness. This next... I think I know where they're going with this next one, and it's just as bad. Just so you know, the Young Turks are still fully monetized, is my understanding. They have not gotten in any real trouble with YouTube. So they're allowed to do this. But if you're right-wing and you even get close to the same level they get, oh boy, that hammer comes. And it doesn't stop. It just keeps going until your channel is gone.
event, you can still find them promoting violence.
I know we're not supposed to, support violence, but hey, sometimes
We're not supposed to support violence, but lady, get some help.
it's like punching a Nazi. You just got to get in there and, make it happen.
During this segment, she
My
called the guy
goodness.
a terrorist at one point, and then a Nazi during that clip who you should violently assault because he broke an LGBT sign that was near a mannequin of a child inside of a Target store. Gee, wouldn't it be awkward if there were examples of trans people destroying signs? Though I'm glad to see that the Young Turks has learned to calm down their rhetoric, considering, one of their fans committed a mass shooting after he was on camera directly repeating their violent messaging. But as bad as all this stuff is, along with the constant violent rhetoric from leftist media corporations and
Okay, hang on. Jasmine Crockett, I challenge somebody to go and find a clip of a Democrat invoking violence. Here you go. And it's her. Oh no. Is this just lack of self-awareness now at this point? My goodness.
politicians, I think it's still surface level material because there's actually something far more nefarious going on here that is quite abstract but very effective at turning people into radicals. And to talk about that, let's go to a video made by a channel called The Second Story, where Hillary...
Oh, she's got some good stuff. She was talking about modern writers can't write, safe evil, all that. She's more literature based. I like her stuff. Whenever she pops up, it's really nice. I recommend her channel. Definitely check out the Second Story.
the channel owner, talks about what I think is the deliberate dumbing down of American kids through the education system.
According to the PIAAC, over 25% of adults in America score at or below level 1 literacy. Go ahead and rewind that if you need to, but let me say that one more time.
Okay. Whoa. Okay, so I think it's level 1 is baseline, level 2 is conversational, and then level 3 is full literacy. I think. Hang on, let me see if I can. Let me Grok. We'll use Grok. I'll do it on my second monitor, so that way we don't have to suffer through it. Grok, what do the levels of English proficiency mean? There we go. Go find that for me, Grok. Searching the web. About 70 results. We're waiting for Grok. Okay, so you got A1 to A2 is beginner user, beginner elementary school. B1 to B2 is independent user, intermediate, upper intermediate, and then proficient user, advanced mastery. So I guess, all right, maybe that's not the right one. What about levels 1 to 3? Is that a different system? I'm trying to figure it out. I have no idea. Don't give me one of these. First, the CEFR is the one that gave me. So, English language learners, ELL. So it would be developing, bridging, reaching. Okay, so people are like not even close to professional working proficiency. Like if you are professional working proficiency or higher, you're the weird one now. Oh boy, that's bad. That's really bad.
Level 1 literacy. Go ahead and rewind that if you need to, but let me say that one more time. Over 25% of American adults cannot read above kindergarten literacy, and that number is growing.
Now, let's just sort these stats out by race because I don't care if people say they're offended by reality. And look, I think we found an issue that no one is shocked by.
I want to see if I can see it. All right. So you got below level 1, 24%.
Level 1 is probably more than 50% now.
It might be. It might be. So this is for Hispanic. Okay, year over year, it was lower in 2012, but then it went up. Okay, so they were doing better in 2012 than they are right now, but in 2017, they were at their best, at least at level 1. So below level 1, you want to keep low. Level 1. Oh, what's this? Single digits. Okay, well, not doing much better here, but you know, that level 3 is, I think, where we want most people to be at. Like in terms of just basic proficiency. And look, we got some people at level 5 here. That's cool. You know, level 4, they're doing solid. Level 3, really good. Oh no. Okay, well, at least we're okay here. Oh no. Yeah, I don't know how to feel about this. Is like maybe reading is not a good idea anymore. We should all go back to just pure emojis. Let's just write everything in emojis now. I bet you'd have a harder time writing Morning Glory Milking Farm in just emojis.
Yeah, you need at least level 3 to work a job.
Is that what they're saying here? Yeah.
It would be horrible if someone pointed out that 44% of Hispanics and 50% of black people cannot read above a kindergarten level, which is 3 times their white counterparts. If I were a black or Hispanic parent, I would be furious about this.
Let's look at level 2. This level is important to our discussion because based on
Let's see. Level 2.
on my own assessment, most published authors today are probably at this level. I personally would call this.
Well, wait. They're saying level 2 is where most published authors are? So at level 2, adults are able to access and understand information in longer texts with some distracting information. They can navigate with simple multi-page digital text and access and identify target information from various parts of the text. They can understand by paraphrasing or making inference based on a single or adjacent piece of information. Adults at level 2 can consider more than one criterion or constraint in selecting or generating a response. Sorry, I'm a little dyslexic, so me reading out loud is really rough. The text at this level may include multiple paragraphs distributed over one long or a few short pages, including simple websites. Non-continuous text may feature 2-dimensional tables or a simple flow diagram. Access to target information may require the use of signaling or navigation devices typical of longer print or digital text. Text may include some distracting information. Tasks and texts at this level sometimes deal with specific, possibly unfamiliar situations. Tasks require respondents to perform indirect matches between text and content information, sometimes based on lengthy instructions, sometimes lengthy instructions. Some task statements provide little guidance regarding how to perform the task. Task achievement often requires the test taker to either reason about one piece of information or gather information across multiple processing cycles. Okay, that's fair. If published authors are there, they're trying. Are we talking more like nonfiction though? Because in fiction you can get a little bit more figurative, and I don't think Lord of the Rings fits into here, does it? I think Lord of the Rings has so many different like imagery things going on. Really makes you use your imagination to get the most out of it. If you just read it as text on the page, you're gonna have a harder time.
Most published authors today are probably at this level. I personally would call this 3rd or 4th grade literacy. This group makes up about 29% of the population. Combined with level 1, these two groups account for almost 60% of American adults. Over half of American adults cannot read above a basic 3rd or 4th grade level and can only analyze what they've read in a limited sense.
Tolkien is an author way ahead of his time.
He was, but he was also just an expert at his craft. My goodness. So if you read above a 3rd or 4th grade level, you're the weird one. Well, that explains why people only read the headlines and not the actual articles these days. Oh no. They can understand the headlines, they can't understand the full article. Oh no. And they can vote. And they're the majority.
That's what makes him ahead of his time.
Yeah. True. Yeah, no, that's 60%. That 60%, 60, that's a majority, and they can vote. I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried. Not gonna lie.
This makes so much sense. So more than half of Americans are basically illiterate when it comes to handling text more difficult than Harry Potter, which means when it comes to complex issues like the economy or politics, they're too dumb to read about it.
I mean, you didn't have to say it like that, but yeah. And they can vote. They can vote. Oh, no. Oh, man.
Military manual books are written in a 3rd grade level so that you can understand it.
Yeah, I'm aware. And even then sometimes people struggle with it. When you read the engineering drawings, it all makes sense. But whenever you read the step-by-step guide, apparently someone gets tripped up. It's so... America's cooked. We need to get that literacy rate up. But I don't think education's going to fix it the way it is right now. My goodness.
Oh, wait. It says that Harry Potter is a 4th to 6th grade reading level.
Oh.
Harry Potter might even be too difficult.
Closely.
Oh, no.
Exactly. America is cooked.
Mm-hmm. What reading level is Lord of the Rings? That's gonna be a fun question to ask, because I know The Hobbit is supposed to be more for younger kids. What grade reading level is Lord of the Rings? Oh, I typed in grad. Oops. Well, I hope Grok understands the typo. 6th grade. Okay. According to the Accelerated Reader. But it's a really good 6th grade book. I mean, it's got a lot of symbolism. There's a lot of stuff you can write about Lord of the Rings. I still like it
Harry
a lot
Potter
better than Harry Potter.
4th grade level.
Yeah, it is. I also don't like Harry Potter. Oh well. Yeah, but they say it's better for technically readable ages 11 to 12, but many sources note that the archaic language, invented words, dense descriptions, complex narratives, and make it more challenging in practice, often better suited for 8th to 12th grade or advanced younger readers. Okay, that's fair. Tolkien does do a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of world building, a lot of lore, a lot to digest.
Lore is 6th grade level. Wow.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings apparently is 6th grade level, but it's actually a lot of teachers recommend it for 8th to 12th grade or advanced students. So, yeah, it's a lot of distracting text, a lot of lore stuff, connecting the dots. You could probably understand it well enough at 6th grade, but you're going to get more out of it the higher reading level you are. Makes sense.
Related to this study is this article from The Atlantic. The author spoke to a number of university professors and several students and found that professors have had to adjust their expectations of their students. English lit majors can no longer be expected to read whole assigned books, but have to content themselves with assigned passages of books. Several of these college students, these young adults, have arrived on campus unaware that reading whole books would be required of them.
Well, you're going into English literature, and you don't think you're going to have to read a whole book? Smut is written at the 2nd grade reading level because titillation is the only goal. Keep it simple, keep it stupid. My goodness. So you're going into English literature as a major, and you didn't expect that you would have to read a whole book? What college are you going to that accepts that as that would change the major's syllabus just to conform to that? My goodness. It's not fair. I have to read whole books, but I'm pursuing my dream in English literature as a major. What? That'd be like saying I want to do engineering, but I don't want to do math. I mean, you walk into a mechanical engineering department and you say that, they're going to say, well, tough. The major's English literature, not, I guess, journalism. The headline readers. I don't know, passages from a book. Like unless you're saying the way that it's being phrased, it sounds like they don't want to read a single whole book, rather than but maybe they're saying, oh yeah, I don't want to read like 50 books for one semester. That's, oh man, I can barely finish a book in one day, and I'd have to dedicate my whole day to that book. I can get through most of a book. Well, it depends on how long it is. Some books would take me longer. But yeah, no, if you're going into English literature and you don't expect to at least read one full book, that's pretty bad.
You shouldn't be an English literature major. No, they don't want to read.
Yeah, that, like I said, that's like going to be an engineer and saying, I don't want to do math. No, that's not how that works.
People told their teachers that they didn't know how.
Wait. My drop, Dames told me the anecdote helped explain the change he was seeing in his students. It's not that they don't want to do the reading, it's that they don't know how. You pick up the book and read the words on the paper. What are you talking about? Like, what kind of excuse is that? Say middle schools and high schools have stopped asking them to? What? Wait, do they not do book reports in high school anymore? Like, you can make book reports really fun. The point is to encourage reading. Now, the book reports I did were kind of dense and boring, but, you know,
Like, it sucks to read 50 books in one semester. I don't know how you're going to do that.
Yeah. Shut up, Skip. I might be a nerd, but I mean, come on, you gotta say, you gotta give me some slack here. Being a little dumbfounded that English literature as a degree path, you would expect it to require.
Are not fun.
It depends on how they do it. Like if they say, read this book and make a diorama from a scene in the book that you found compelling, that could be fun. I'm saying you can make the book reports fun. They don't have to be like, write out this long 500-word essay on the symbolism of the story told and blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, it's just, here's a fun thing that we found. Make it fun. Or tell me, write a little brief journal entry on what you enjoyed about the book or what you didn't like about the book. Something like that. You could do that in elementary school even. But yeah.
How can you not know how to read and want to be an English literature major?
That's a great question. How are you going to get through English comp? These people are getting diplomas? College is failing, my goodness.
To read a whole book.
Let me repeat that. English literature professors at a number of good colleges can't assign books that they used to be able to assign, like Crime and Punishment.
Yeah, Pride and Prejudice, Crime and Punishment. Students tell him up front that the reading load feels impossible. It's 2 books. They're long books, but it's only 2. If you pace yourself and read like a chapter a night, I think you can get through Pride and Prejudice in a couple days. Or if you read like 3-5 chapters a night, you don't have to like binge read. And you could just do the audiobook if you're that worried about it. I do best when I have like the text in front of me and the audiobook, so that way I'm reading as I'm listening, and I can speed up the audiobook. That'll maximize comprehension for me and memory. What I have an issue with is as I read, I tend to forget what came before. I have a general idea of what happened. But that's only in books I don't care about, like assigned reading. However, I did read No Country for Old Men. That was a... Whoa. Yeah. Punctuation is a suggestion. My goodness. The audiobook was much better. I actually found it at the local library. Checked that out so fast. It was on cassette tape. I had to find a boombox. But seriously, what Pride and Prejudice, I don't think it's that insurmountable book. Like, if I read 3 chapters a day of Pride and Prejudice, how long will it take me to finish? That's a pretty normal question. It's got a lot of chapters, I know that much. And some are shorter than others. It'd take 20 days, 61 chapters, doing 3 chapters a day. 21 days. That's not that bad.
I can probably read The Outsiders in a day.
The Outsiders? Yeah, I can read that one in a day too. It's pretty short. But, 20 days, I don't think that's going to take up most of your semester. But yeah, no, 13 days if you read 5. So I don't know what these students are on about. It's not insurmountable. It's just, put your nose in the book and read. Now, Pride and Prejudice is a bit of a dry story. So is Crime and Punishment. But, you know, they're classics for a reason. And there's a lot to talk about in them.
Typing with my bad thumb is a little hard.
Yeah, the mama thumb's going to make the TTS come out with some weird stuff every now and then. Either way, I do think it's a bit odd that you would sign up for an English literature class and you don't want to do the reading. That was why I did American literature instead of British literature in college. I was looking at it and I was like, I read a lot of British literature already. Narnia, Lewis, Tolkien. I kind of wanted to see what the Americans have, and I got Faulkner. And The Sound and the Fury bored me to tears. My goodness. The Stream of Consciousness was something else. If I wanted to read a book that was written how I talk, I would just put text to speech or speech to text on and talk into that for a while and then read my ramblings. But I do like Faulkner's philosophy. All literature must speak to the human condition. Regardless, I don't get why the state of the American education system is considered acceptable. Red Rising. Is that Wolverines? That one? No, that's Red Dawn. All right, I'll get back to you on that. Let me look it up real quick. Red Rising. Oh, okay. I've heard about it. There's actually a YouTube video, I think, that covers it. I might look into it. 2014. Got it. Okay, no, I haven't read that one, but I've heard of it. Yeah, Mars has been terraformed. Probably worth a read. Dystopian sci-fi. Kind of like that. All right, let's continue. We've talked about reading, and I guess we just tried to start, but it was still in book hangover. Oh man, rough place to be. Like, after you've been writing so much, where you're just like, okay, creative writing has now burned out my passion for all literature for a little bit. I need a break. Time to get some slop. Probably. Yeah, I would definitely have to read it. Although the ages, don't know if I like that. But I have heard good things about it, but it's a little bit of teen melodrama. It was a detox. Got it. It was an attempt to get things. Yeah, so I'm like allergic to melodrama in young adult fiction. So yeah, if it's got teen romance, I'm gonna slog through that because that's what ruined Maze Runner for me and Ready Player One. I just don't like that. Don't like that stuff. Anyway,
Cafe reading date?
Maybe when I make money, and the little man is less fussy after he's a little older, maybe.
Because students can't read a full book. Look, I'm not going to pretend that some of this isn't due to diversity quotas in the prior statistics that I showed, but I also think the reason that those stats exist is because of a change in how reading is taught that is designed to make you stupid and therefore easy to manipulate. To address this, Hillary spends a lot of her video talking about critical literacy education and about the differences between phonics and whole language learning, which are different methods of teaching kids how to read. To put it simply, phonics is the correct way to teach people how to read, and whole language learning is retarded.
I have never heard of whole language learning before. When I was a kid, though, we did Hooked on Phonics. That was fun. You got to make the noises. Got to make the mouth noises with the letters. And you had A that makes A. And you kind of have to read things, and that's how you learn to sound out words. What in the world is whole language learning? Like, other than retarded, apparently. Hold on.
What is whole language learning?
I'm asking Grok right now. I've never heard of that. Whole language learning, also known as whole language approach, is an educational philosophy and method for teaching reading and literacy that emerged prominently in the 1980s and 1990s. Oh, good. This sounds like new math. Context rather than isolated drills or skills. Okay. Core principles: holistic view of language. Reading, writing, speaking, and listening are taught together, not broken into separate components like phonics, grammar, or spelling. Okay. Natural acquisition. Children learn to read and write naturally through exposure to real literature, similar to how they learn spoken languages by immersion in books, stories, and personal expression. But you can still teach phonics.
Yeah, that's how I learned too with phonics.
Yeah, no, you can still learn phonics and grammar. It's going to help them with the other stuff. You know, you teach them the baseline first, and then you let them sort of develop mastery by exposing them to literature and stuff like that. This sounds like just throwing them into the deep end. Like, no, what is happening here? Authentic activities use real books, not simplified text. Encourage invented spelling for kids. Spell words as they sound. Oh, they're going to use that special type of keyboard that the court clerks use.
That is throwing them into the deep end.
Yeah. And promote writing for genuine purposes. Examples, journals or letters. Well, what about just creative writing for the fun of it? This approach contrasts sharply with phonics-based methods, which teach explicit letter sound, relationships, and decoding skills that systemically from the start. Comparison with phonics, whole language is often described as top-down, starting with the whole text and meaning, while phonics is bottom-up, building from sounds and letters. Yeah? It's like, I'm going to build a roof first. That's what this sounds like to me. I want to build a roof first, and then watch as it falls. Seriously, like, what is this method? Proponents argue it fosters love of reading and critical thinking. Critics say it relies too much on guessing, leaving some children without tools to decode unfamiliar words. Yeah. No way. Really? What is this? Extensive research, including major reviews like U.S. National Reading Panel and studies of experts Gene Shaw and Keith Stanovich, has found the whole language less effective than phonics-focused or structured literacy approach. Who would have thought? Especially for struggling readers or those at risk, it can lead to gaps in foundational skills with empirical evidence. Yeah, I don't know what was happening with the TTS there. With empirical evidence showing phonics produces better outcomes in the word recognition, spelling, and overall reading proficiency. Pure whole language has been widely discredited in scientific circles for lacking support in cognitive and neurological research. Reading is not natural like speaking. It requires explicit instruction in decoding for many letters. Duh. While whole language dominated parts of education in the late 20th century, like US, Canada, and New Zealand, it declined after evidence showed poorer results and such drops in reading scores in places adopting it heavily. Examples, California in the 90s. Today, it's largely replaced and blended into balanced literacy or structured literacy, aligning with the science of reading, which incorporates explicit phonics alongside meaningful text. Some elements like using authentic literature and focusing on comprehension, remaining influential and valued, but standalone whole language is rare in evidence-based programs. Modern trends emphasize systemic phonics, especially post-reading wars debate and recent policy shift towards science-backed methods. Okay. I mean, this reversal is happening a little too late, honestly. My goodness.
TTSY, that's the song I learned for learning my ABCs or phonics, something like that.
Yeah. So, that was what Grok had to say about whole language learning. It's bad. It definitely does fall into that retarded category, I'm not going to lie. Now, if you want to test reading comprehension, definitely give them a book, but they're going to need the phonics to understand how the words are structured and why the sentences make sense the way they do. My goodness.
When you're taught phonics, you break down words into their individual parts and use pattern recognition to figure out what words are being used in a text. So if I'm 6 years old and I look at this word here, I'm going to use the pronunciation rules by saying at and say, oh, well, that's how you spell cat. With whole language learning, you just kind of memorize each word individually based on how it looks, which is completely stupid, and I did not fail to see how this method is not only highly inefficient, but it also stifles critical thinking skills, as kids have to wait until they're told how words are pronounced, instead of being able to accurately predict how to say new words based on patterns that they've learned.
I'm 27 years old in a corporate job, and I do not know how to spell, okay? Because I'm from the generation where I'm in 5th grade, and I had a laptop with spell check on it. So now I'm 27 years old, listening to podcasts on how to sound out words and how to spell. Because I don't know how. Mind you, I'm educated. I have a bachelor's, and I cannot spell.
Yeah, it's almost like that was deliberate. It's not the computer, it's the teaching methods. I grew up on spell checkers too, and I can spell without them because I was taught phonics as a kid.
I'll be honest, I suck at spelling. I get... I don't know if this one's crusade worthy. This is more like someone sent her help, maybe a book on how spelling works. But I'll be honest. I rely quite heavily on spell check, but I'm not like I want to say I can do about 70%. Or no, it's it's Pareto for me. Pareto principle, 80-20. I can spell about 80% of the words, and the 20% I can't, I use spell check for. Sometimes I get I and E mixed up, minor things like that. Now, if we're talking about PH versus F, that's another one. It's, yeah, so not being able to spell to me is not that bad, per se, because if you're that unsure, just open up your phone, say the word, check it, and you're good. You have tools for this. But, you know, we should teach people how to learn to spell foundationally.
Yeah, I'm just not good at spelling.
Yeah, but I think you're probably better than some people. And it also depends on the word, because you go into any science field where Latin pops up, those words are going to get a lot harder to spell, just by their nature. Anywhere that there's Greek, Latin, or any other foreign language built in, anything that's not Germanic based, it's going to make it harder. That's just how it is.
Now, all of this might kind of seem abstract to some of you in the audience, but trust me, as sort of like a language enthusiast, this shit infuriates me. By that, I mean that it's basically child abuse to teach kids something as inefficient as whole language, because it puts them way behind kids who learn phonics, and it doesn't work when you get to more complex words. For the sake of brevity, I will say that it should be obvious to anybody who has studied language or foreign languages that engaging in pattern recognition by memorizing a handful of simple rules along with the exceptions is far more efficient than individually memorizing how to read the 20 or so thousand words that the average adult knows.
Now cue this paper. What they did was they invented a whole new language script. So a bunch of squiggles and lines that when stacked together could form words. And they had different groups of students learn how to read this language. The only difference is right at the beginning, group 1 was told to focus their attention on the word as a whole, use the image as a whole to try and make sense of it. Whereas group 2 was told to focus on the individual units within each image. And what happens? Well, after training, each group was tested on what they learned during their training. And it turns out that when they were quizzed on words that they had seen during the training phase, the whole word reading group performed a little bit better than the group focused on the individual letters. But here's the fun bit. When both groups were tested on new words, words they hadn't seen during their training phase, it turned out the whole word group suffered incredibly. In fact, they performed no better than chance. They were just essentially guessing. Whereas the individual unit group did significantly better. So
is that really the best? I don't know why. I just thought of kanji. So if you learn the baseline symbols of kanji the same way that they did with this made up squiggle language, that might be the way to do it. So if you can get that 80% accuracy on kanji, I think you're good, right? For Japan. Because kanji kind of works that way, right? There's different sort of symbols that build around and change the context of the kanji. You kind of have to know what the symbols mean. I might look into that. That seems interesting.
Were able to take words they'd never seen before and read them just fine.
Kids who are not taught pronunciation rules through phonics basically do not have the tools to figure out how to say.
Kanji is a little different.
Okay, but is the principle somewhat similar? I don't know. Where's Josh when you need him? He's probably at Burger King or on the train. One of those two. Getting lunch.
Words they haven't already memorized, which can triple, quadruple, or quintuple the time that it takes to read. So it's no wonder young people these days feel unequipped to read an entire book. And the reason I'm calling this child abuse is because the ability to read quickly and comprehend what you read is a fundamental part of skill building, which means that whole language learning straight up cripples your ability to build a skill valuable enough to get a good job. Do you know what kinds of people do violent and radical shit? People who don't have good jobs. But if you aren't already mad, here's where it starts to get worse.
I want to first talk about this study from just last year, 2024. This highly...
Hold on.
People who don't have good jobs.
That flashed up for like a split second.
Mad, here's where it starts to...
I would have to explain it later. I think my sister knows it better since she took a kanji class.
Okay, I think Josh would know too. If he would come back. He just dipped on us. Abandoned us here.
Get worse.
I want to first talk about this study from just
Project Muse. They don't read very well. A study of the reading comprehension skills of English majors at 2 Midwestern universities. What universities? What universities? I would have to read the whole thing, wouldn't I? Skip's still here. You fell asleep?
Sorry, fell asleep. Lol.
What? Hold. It's like 5 in the afternoon. Did you like eat Burger King into a food coma?
LOL.
It's like 2 a.m. here, dude. Almost 3. I know this is a long video, but you're supposed to think before you sleep.
Yes, that's exactly what happened, lol.
Ate himself into a food coma. Okay. Yeah.
Last year, 2024. This highly talked about study wasn't just assessing the literacy of the average American, but of the average
I
English
laid onto the couch. Haha.
Oof.
literature major at 2 widely respected state universities. The
How much
study
did you
participants
eat
were
at
instructed to
BKLOL?
read the first
Probably a Whopper and a half. Doesn't want to talk about it. He ate too much. Get a food coma from fast food. Maybe it was just greasy. Okay.
7 paragraphs of Bleak House by Charles Dickens, and then translate what they read into modern language, thereby demonstrating their understanding of the text. What they found was that 58% of the study's participants were at about level 1 literacy or slightly higher, which the study categorizes
In college?
as problematic.
Let me repeat that.
Slightly higher.
Okay, hang on. Sorry, I had a sip of water
They
there.
had something called the 1-pounder that I got there.
That explains it. 1 pound of burger knocked him out. All right, so major findings in reading categories. Given the results, we placed 85 subjects in both universities into 3 categories of readers: problematic, competent, and proficient. A summary of our major conclusions.
Also, I had a lack of sleep this week, lol.
I'm sorry, that's probably my fault. Conclusions give me some basic data. Gives some basic data for our ensuing discussion. 58%, 49 of 85 subjects understood so little of the introduction to Bleak House that they would not be able to read the novel on their own. However, these same subjects, defined in the study as problematic readers, also believed they would have no problem reading the rest of the 900-page novel. Oh, okay. So problematic readers often describe their reading process as skimming and relying on the spark note.
The lack of sleep is probably what did it.
Yeah, probably. I've been right there with you. Spark notes. The majority of the 85 subjects used vague generalizations to summarize compound complex sentences. 38% or 32 of the 85 subjects could understand more vocabulary and figures of speech than the problematic readers. These competent readers, however, could interpret only about half the literal prose in the passage. Only 5%, 4 out of the 85, had a detailed literal understanding of the first paragraphs of Bleak House. Oh no.
Of the study's participants were at about level 1 literacy or slightly higher, which the study categorizes as problematic.
Let me repeat that. She's saying that more than half
There are
of the
definitely kids these days who can read but think they can read.
Yeah.
university students who are English majors from that study are reading at a kindergarten/first grade level.
English
now, I'm not
majors.
gonna lie, the first 7 paragraphs of Bleak House by Charles Dickens is quite a difficult read. But the point was not for the study participants to be able to flawlessly know every word written in the text. The point was to assess critical thinking skills, knowledge of the structure of language, and most
Looks like it was
importantly,
talking about
their
pollution in
ability
the air.
and willingness to look up words or references they didn't understand. 58% of the college English majors did that on the level of like a first grader. Welcome to modern education. The results were depressing, as almost nobody in the study could accurately describe what was going on in the first few paragraphs, nor did they have the willingness to look things up they didn't know.
They understood so little of the introduction to Bleak House that they would not be able to read the novel on their own. However, these same subjects also believed they would have no problem reading the rest of the 900-page novel. I want to make one thing very clear here. No one is mocking these students' lack of vocabulary knowledge.
Yeah, no, it's not necessarily their fault, but man, that's bad.
I have to look up words I don't know all the time when I'm reading. The biggest and most significant factor here, at least to me, is that these college undergrads didn't even bother doing that. They had permission to look up
They had permission to look up the words, but they didn't? Seriously?
anything they didn't know, and they just didn't bother. They felt they knew the meaning, assumed they were right, and moved on. English majors at a major university.
They took society's best, English majors in college from respected universities, and they still couldn't read an author who used to be mandatory for high schoolers. This study took place in 2015, conveniently during the time that everything started going woke.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Okay. English professors often assume that students can read novels and poetry assigned for their courses. However, like many of our colleagues, we have come to question that assumption. To gain some insight, we conducted a reading test from January to April 2015 to record what happens when 85 college English majors read a literary text completely on their own with no help from instructors or guidance from other students. Although there has been extensive research in reading comprehension skills, K-12 college developmental students, less attention has been paid to reading skills of the average four-year college students. And there are few think aloud studies for this population. Overall, studies on college reading lags behind similar research on critical thinking and begins to increase in number only after 2019. We sought through our study to deepen our understanding of how college students read based on previous studies like those by Christina Haas and Linda Flower, Helen St. Clair Thompson et al., and Kelly B. Cartwright et al.
And this was around 2 or 3 decades after the whole language learning model got implemented, so this would be the first generation going to college under that system. Not to say that everyone got whole language education. I was taught phonics despite being a kid during the first generation of the whole language model, but for the ones who are unfortunate enough to be taught in this way, we know this stuff is ridiculous and ineffective, just like Common Core math. Well, maybe it's incorrect for me to say that. Maybe the whole language model actually is very effective at its intended purpose. Let's get to the part about critical literacy.
Critical literacy is the new literacy. Critical literacy aims to teach not literacy, but rather a kind of social...
Wait, how did we head from police abuse to people can't read? I got lost.
It's tied together. So if your literacy is low, your media literacy is even lower. And if you don't understand media literacy, like when someone's lying to you, you're going to be more susceptible to propaganda. And so the connection he's trying to draw here is that they're intentionally lowering literacy rates to make people more susceptible to propaganda. I think that's the conclusion he's going with.
Social awareness, which was using teaching reading as a delivery method of sorts, as if reading was just the syringe and this right kind of social awareness was the real thing they wanted the child to receive. One of the beginning strategies for teaching literacy with whole language, according to this manual, is the use of generative themes. You remember that one?
She's saying remember that because earlier in the video she talks about generative words,
It's intentional,
which are just
that's straight up evil.
It is, but it's also not smart. It's the dumbing of America. And then people got onto me for dancing on the Department of Education as the edifice crumbled. My goodness. So prior to scheduling classes, Furian educators study the life and language of their prospective students. These sociological inquiries permit them to discover a small number of keywords from daily life, called generative words, which will be used for both problemizing experience and for literacy teaching. The generative words like brick, rice, slum, or wealth, just social themes around
They're
which...
trying to make people reliant on other people's thoughts instead of thinking for themselves.
Yeah, but if you do that over enough generations, you get the blind leading the blind. Oh, my goodness. Okay, yeah, so it's all about teaching oppression Olympics and the social justice and all that crap. Okay, yeah, no wonder the critical thinking skills of those people are so low. My goodness.
Described as keywords in a text like rice or slum or wealth, used to suggest social themes around which consciousness can be raised. These words are used to evoke an emotional response in the reader. The core tenet of critical literacy is to engage with how certain generative words make you feel, as opposed to what those words actually mean. Anyway, pay close attention because...
How am I supposed to feel when I read the word brick? That's just a descriptor. Is this why we have Vouch? Is that why Vouch can't understand descriptors? When I hear the word brick, I see first the word brick in my head, and then I see a brick, like a terracotta brick. It's always going to be a brick. Like, without context, the word brick by itself is the item to me. But how am I supposed to feel about that?
I think of that Spomji.
Sponge? I'm a little confused.
Yep, that's Vouch.
Yeah, it feels like it is. Man did not understand descriptive language. He was saying that the philosophy PhD
SpongeBob episode where the narrator throws a brick at the hoopla guy.
Oh yeah. But still, you know what a brick is. How are you supposed to feel about a brick? It's just an object.
Trans water.
Water to ice is making water trans now, I guess. Even though ice can go back to water pretty easily. It's just Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I don't understand why they would say, yes, you must read this and then feel a way about it instead of just imagining the object that it's describing. Like when I read the word rice, I just think of the grain, like rice in a bowl, usually steamed as food. I guess if it makes me feel anything, it's hungry. Wealth, I think of money. What does that have to do with anything? That's so dumb. So dumb.
Do they do that for every word?
They call them like generative words or something like that. We can go back. So yeah, brick, rice, slum, wealth, just social themes around which consciousness can be raised. First off, I don't even know what that means. Social consciousness?
I feel like it would make reading exhausting.
Emotionally, yeah. But, okay. Brick, I think of the building component. Rice, food. Slum, like a dirty neighborhood. Wealth, money. What am I supposed to feel about that? Yes. These are descriptors. Yeah, my goodness. That they want to talk about the emotionality behind it when the reality is, how am I supposed to feel? Just these words in isolation without context? I don't know. Good grief.
In the reader, the core tenet of critical literacy is to engage with how certain generative words make you feel, as opposed to what those words actually mean. Anyway, pay close attention, because here's the evil that this whole thing has been leading up to.
Which all boils down to the most important thing about reading is learning the correct way to interpret a text, which, by the way, has nothing to do with the author's intent and is heavily reliant on your feelings.
Interpretation can be wrong. It can absolutely be wrong. This book made me feel big mad, therefore it's a bad book. The words you use make me feel big mad. This is why smut's selling like crazy, my goodness, because it makes my brain do a tinkly flip.
Brick equals hurting rice equals hunger slum equals nasty wealth equals happy. I guess those are feeling for the words.
I guess.
That's why I disagree with the death of the author idea.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's like a time and place for it, but that's usually when talking about execution. You know what I mean? Take the Starship Troopers movie. They wanted to make it look fascist, and they just made it look cool. It's hard to sympathize with the bugs because they're monsters. I don't know. I have no idea. The media literacy in this country is outstanding. My goodness, and it's probably because of this whole language learning instead of phonics. Descriptive language exists. It has to. Otherwise, it's all feelings all the time.
Oh, geese, not that guy.
Yeah. Enver Hoven or whatever. No, I was thinking Enver Hoxha. That's a different thing. Don't want to talk about that guy. But yeah.
I teach phonics at my school.
Yeah, because that makes sense. Just phonics is the foundations of language. You have to know how to say the words to say the words. It's part of communication. Oh, and then this is teaching people to think with feelings. That's dangerous. You got to have some objectivity. If everything's emotion all the time, then like any disagreement is a personal attack. This explains so much, and I hate it. Anyway, moving on.
I mean, think about how so many people these days latch onto specific words and then spin out because those words trigger them in some way. That's because those words are generative words, which fit into generative themes.
Biology must be a generative word then.
Thinking with feeling is not thinking.
Yeah, emotion is the enemy of reason. Emotion needs to be a motivator. Can't be the leading thought processor.
Moist.
Yeah, when I hear that, I think of like cake or not quite dry yet. Other people get really weird feelings for some reason. Moist.
I think of a cave.
You see, I think of a cave when I hear dank or damp. I don't think of like moist is not what I use for cave. Cake is moist, but they've been literally trained to be stupid. My word. I say.
Everybody loves cake. Cake has layers.
And the obligatory Shrek reference has been done. We will resume the video.
which are taught to them in a way specifically intended to trigger their emotional analysis. These people can't listen to reason at that point. They see the word and the programmed reaction is triggered, and that's it. That's what critical literacy produces, specifically and intentionally.
She's saying that students are being trained to notice certain trigger words that should elicit an emotional analysis or emotional reaction to how that word makes you feel, outside of its intended meaning or dictionary definition. And Hillary gives some familiar examples of generative words that you might hear on.
Oh no. Okay, yeah, this makes a lot of sense now. When I hear wealth, I just think of money. I have no real context, like, I need context for that word to mean anything to me. When I hear religion, I just think of belief structure. Again, I have to hear some context to really have any feelings about it. Slum, that's just a descriptor of how a neighborhood looks. It's an aesthetic descriptor to me. Race, I don't really believe in race conceptually, but sure, I guess you mean like skin color or something. Ableism, that is a made-up word. That does not exist. Gender, I just think of sex, like male, female. Fascism, a very poorly thought out system of government. It's not great.
So Vouch and his trans water, how did he pass his chemistry class?
How did he pass anything? My goodness. Capitalism, it's just a way to make sure that your labor has value at all. It's just a system of exchange, goods and services. Money serves in as a kind of a fill-in for what bartering used to be. So instead of giving my watermelon to someone for a cantaloupe, I can just give them $5. That's really it. Degeneracy. I mean, I don't like degeneracy, but then again, a lot of people don't know what that means. To generate is to make. To degenerate is to destroy, to regress. It's bad. Colonialism. I have no strong feelings about that word whatsoever. It just kind of describes a practice that happened a while back and is still kind of happening, but not really. And I don't see it as particularly good or bad. It was more of how it was done in execution, because you've had societies that were improved because of colonialism and societies that were hurt because of colonialism. It's a tool, not really a good or bad. I guess I can't assign alignment to any of these words. They're
Why
just kind
on
of
earth
neutral.
did conservatives let the libs take control of education?
Because they didn't vote. Yeah. And now we've gotten into a position where voting is actually catastrophic for everyone. Democracy really is the god that failed. Ugh. My goodness.
On a regular basis later in the video. So it's all being said here is that they purposefully teach you an inefficient reading technique that makes it take like 5 times longer to read a book than someone who is taught phonics, which basically makes those kids not want to read or educate themselves when they get older. In fact, it locks them out of a lot of skill development. That same whole language reading technique also makes it incredibly difficult to figure out words that you don't know, so it limits your vocabulary and ability to accurately communicate. And then they teach you a bunch of Russian sleeper agent trigger words that will cause.
I was thinking of that. I was genuinely thinking about that. It's like, man, they really do sound like Russian sleeper agents. And oh man, it's just now we got to tiptoe around these words because they make them big mad, but then they say them themselves, get big mad themselves. Emotion does not belong in argumentation. It doesn't. Just use logic. You'll be fine. Reason, not emotion.
Moimoist.
These people can vote, you know?
Yep. And that's why democracy was a bad idea. At least universal suffrage is. Qualified suffrage really needs to be the standard now. I don't like this universal suffrage system. Stupid people can vote, and over the majority of these people are at like a kindergarten reading level. Why? Why do we have to be subject to their whims? Stop. The default position is because they're retarded. My goodness.
You to go into a frenzy anytime they're sad.
Democracy
Is this why
of the
so many
people,
idiots are running around
for the
calling
people,
everyone they
by
don't like
the
a
people,
fascist?
But the people are retarded.
I need to just make that a sound clip at this point. Just have a button where it plays that.
Without actually knowing what that word means? Is this why a section of the population flips out anytime the word Trump is said? Is it because they were taught critical literacy for 12 years and then they were given the trigger words in college?
I actually find it hysterical how a lot of Republicans and Trump supporters like to say that colleges and universities brainwash their students to be liberal, when it's like, have they ever just stopped to think that maybe that people that graduate college and are educated with a degree are more likely to lean liberal because they're smarter?
Hope. Do you know what determines success in college? In the Big Five personalities? The Big Five. This is agreeableness. So it's agreeableness, industriousness, extroversion, neuroticism, and openness.
I do not think she knows what intelligence is.
Intelligence is associated with openness. Used to.
No, that's not cope. She's just dumb.
She doesn't realize it's cope, but it's cope. So, allow me to explain. In the olden times, when Sir Isaac Newton was basically leading the university of his time in terms of innovation and, discovering God's designs, as it was, openness was actually the highest determinant factor for success in the university space. It was more self-guided, it was more networking, it was kind of a place for smart people to be smart together. Guess what the determining factor for success in college is now? I'll give you a hint. It's not openness. It's agreeableness. Because if you can believe it, you tend to pass college if you just show up. That is a compliance test, not an intelligence test. You don't have to be smart to get up and go to somewhere. In fact, a lot of people with high openness will probably skip classes.
Oh, no wonder I dropped out.
Yeah. Agreeableness is the key factor. And honestly, a lot of public school education is also built around agreeableness, not openness. Because the subtraits of openness are two key categories that are often used in a lot of university. Openness to experience. You have intellect and aesthetics. Those used to be what determined how well you did in college. But now, it's like they want agreeableness, because a lot of what the modern workforce is looking for isn't intelligent workers, but compliant workers. So all of this is now to build the compliant workforce, not to build an intelligent workforce. Hence why the competency crisis is getting worse and worse and worse. College is very, very bad.
I am very high in both of those categories, but I am insanely low in agreeableness.
See, I'm average in agreeableness, but I'm just polite. I'm low in compassion.
I guess that's why I'm so bad at test taking.
Right. Well, the timer for my goodness, the timer for testing has actually never really been about testing your intelligence in terms of the depth of your knowledge. It's more like quick recall. And it's actually been used at this point more for compliance again. So if you sit two people down to take the ACT and you give both of them unlimited time, they're only going to score so high. One might get a 36 because he had unlimited time. The other person might still cap out at a 21. The point is the time constraint isn't really the proof of intelligence necessarily. It's more like snap decision making. But then that's pure intuition, which it's a different thing. I know a lot of people disagree that the time constraint adds to the intelligence check, but
I am moderately high in compassion, but like second percentile in politeness.
Yeah, I'm not that bad. I'm more like 25th percentile compassion and 75th percentile in politeness. Yeah, so I'm more polite than anything, but I just don't care. I can't be appealed to emotionally very easily. Like I have to like you, I guess. The point is, the reason college is not really good anymore is because it's so geared towards agreeableness, and it doesn't nurture what actually breeds innovation, which is openness to experience combined with industriousness. And that's why I'd say college is a waste of money. It's not meant to cultivate intellect, it's meant to ensure that you can follow a schedule. Like here's my criticism of college, right? Why would I pay like tens of thousands of dollars to be told when to wake up?
My industriousness is low too, LL.
Yeah, but that's what I'm getting at. College costs how much? Like an insane amount of money. And you go into major debt to go through college, right? Why in the world would you pay them to tell you when to wake up? Sure, you could pick the times for the classes, but come on. You're not the one setting the schedule. They technically are. It's It's dumb. It's so dumb. It's all compliance testing, and that's actually what the K-12 system is now as well. They want to build a compliant workforce, not an educated workforce. They don't want to teach you. They want to make you do what they say.
I remembered being annoyed in college because they treated me like a child instead of an adult.
Yeah. Homework should not be able to save you from failing. Also, testing is just a bad way to do things in general. I think grad school is probably how college should be, honestly. But hey, yeah, no. So this girl's coping. It's not about intelligence anymore. It hasn't been in a very long time. It's all about compliance, and that's why you can be brainwashed easily and you're susceptible to propaganda.
Right. But I mean, this method is so effective at creating brain-rotted idiots that Portland, Oregon, one of the wokest cities in America, just acquitted a black man with priors of stabbing a white man because the white man called him the N-word after he was stabbed.
Proportional reaction? I actually think, oh man.
Yeah, I wish I went to a grad school instead of a 4-year college.
You kind of have to get the 4-year college before you go to grad school. But this case bothers me, right? Dude got stabbed, right? And the guy got acquitted because the N-word was thrown at him. My man, the proportional response would have been to attack back. You got a word thrown at you. They compare the harm of being called a slur to getting stabbed. Seriously, what is wrong with society? Like this is...
Who cares if the N-word was thrown or not?
It was after he got stabbed too. I'd be saying a lot worse things than a racial slur.
No,
if
wait,
I got
the
stabbed.
other school, trade school, is Think.
At trade school would have taught you a skill. But yeah, no, this case was so stupid. They let him off because he got a racial slur thrown at him after stabbing a dude.
Even if Ty was before, he had the free speech to do so.
Yeah. And they acquitted him. They acquitted the criminal because the victim said the N-word after he got stabbed. I mean, there is an argument that he was provoked if it was said before, so that's why this is so stupid.
Wait, what, really?
Yeah, no, so guy walks up to another guy, randomly stabs him, which to me is objective evil. That's a wanton act of reckless violence for no reason. Always bad. Can't think of a possible situation where that's good. And the guy got acquitted because the victim called him a racial slur after getting stabbed. You can't make this up. What's wrong with society? I think we need a detox. Also fix the homeless problem. Make asylums great again. Something.
Unbelievable. This is a real article, not The Onion. They said it was self-defense because the white...
Okay, so the causation was not taken into account. It was the reaction that acquitted him that is retarded.
Yeah. It's not like he fought back either. He just said a word. This is why we can't have nice things. That and the Walmart parking lot. Like, those two things together. Humanity's cooked.
Man was racist, but if you read the details, it was obviously not self-defense. Outside of that, this video from the second story
running around poking people.
Yep.
On critical literacy education is diabolical, and it's probably one of the best videos that I've watched this year. I would very much recommend watching the whole thing. But now we can
Oh yeah, the second story is great. If you're looking for just entertaining stuff that's also kind of informative, I'd strongly recommend her. She's really smart.
Understand how people like, say, Hassan Piker come into prominence. Actually, let's talk about that, because the next key component of radicalizing a population is to install degenerate role models into media for the population to emulate, because commoners will largely follow what popular people do. That's why things like celebrity endorsements work. So if all the popular people are good, then you'll get more good people. But if all the popular people are degenerates, then you're going to get a lot more degenerates. The Boondocks was famous for criticizing them for doing this to the black community, and very literally painted the BET network as a television channel designed to destroy blacks.
And there's plenty of science out there to support the idea that human beings form a lot of their moral opinions by ingesting fiction, especially at younger ages.
Yeah, the emotionality of things. Like I said, emotionality should be the guiding, like the motivating factor, not the reasoning factor. You have to silo these two things. Emotional reasoning is like amygdala control.
I need to sleep. Good night.
All right, good night. Watch the video later. Yeah, so you got emotionality, that's your amygdala, the primal part of your brain.
I think that Etzpa's crazy. People should just read the Bible,
Yep.
especially as children.
Yeah, but You know, Lord of the Rings wouldn't be a terrible thing for someone to read either. Neither would The Hobbit, because there's still good morals in there. Narnia is the same way. Like, I can definitely recommend those to kids. Maybe not Lord of the Rings, but The Hobbit, yeah, and Narnia for sure. I just don't. It's kind of crazy.
But Morning Glory Milking Farm? Heck no.
No, that's degenerate. Ugh. All of this is to say, this video is making me kind of mad. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. A lot of people love refusing to admit this, but you do become the media that you consume, and you do become the average of the people that you associate with. So choose.
A freer anime fan risked his life to stop a knife attack on a train, revealing that Himmel was his inspiration. Good on him for stopping the attack, honestly.
Choose carefully, because you will do this whether you are consciously aware of it or not. With that said, Hasan Piker is basically the leader of the modern left when it comes to the online space. And by that, I mean the part of the left that is increasingly pushing out reasonable people and becoming more radical. So there are tons of people who are modeling Hasan's behavior. And what kind of behavior is that?
Well, my understanding is that the property owners who have property...
Oh, I hate this clip so much. This is part of the reason I can't stand Hasan. Ugh, my goodness.
I was actually watching Freyan before the stream started, lol.
Yeah. It's a good anime. It actually has a really weirdly accurate portrayal of demons.
Parties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them.
result.
Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
Wow, that sounds a lot like the rhetoric that we heard from the Young Turks. After seeing this, would anyone be shocked if I told them that Hasan had a multi-millionaire horse enthusiast uncle who owns the Young Turks, gave him a job right out of college, and mentored him? The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And what kind of person would...
I love that it is unapologetically anti...
Yeah, and like Freeran warns everyone when they return. It's like, yeah, they're going to use everything that makes you good against you. Sounds familiar, almost like Hasan. Oh well.
Would think it's morally okay to openly encourage murder to a large audience? Well, maybe it's a person who abuses his pets by making them sit in the corner for 4 hours straight like a stage prop, and then shocking her with maximum voltage if she tries to move.
Kaya, please just fucking go. Just stop. Jesus
My word.
Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby.
Oh, come on, Kaya. I didn't even shock you that hard. You're such a baby. This is what every abuser says after they hit someone. Come on, I didn't even hit you that hard. There are tons of examples out there where Hasan is abusing animals. You can find numerous clips of it on Twitter. And I do find the amount of creators who ran cover for him doing this to be quite disgusting.
Kaya is the most loved
Oh
and
my goodness.
and the most well
Why is Pokimane doing this?
trained and best little baby or big baby that I have ever been around. You would think that this kind of outrage, we would have seen it towards like the genocide and stuff, but
How can you care about a dog when a genocide is going on? Don't you know there's a genocide? Ignore all the bad stuff I'm doing because of Palestine. I think she underestimates how much Americans like dogs. Hasan is never going to live this one down. It's so popular that even the vice president brought it up.
He has this command place, which is basically if I snap my finger and point, he will run to that place and lay down.
You don't have to zap him.
No.
Listen,
like Hasan Piker, no. If you miss...
Oh, wait, that is Pokimane?
That was. I think so. I don't know. It could have been some other e-girl. I'm pretty sure that was Pokemon. Anyways, JD Vance here dropping the red pills all over the place. he left the red pill bottle open and just kind of let Hasan catch a stray with that one. Oh, that's funny.
Treat dogs, that's almost 100% sign that you're going to be a really
I forgot the other one. Espad's name, TBH, LOL.
I have no idea.
Person.
And last, for the purposes of this video and showing the kind of role model he is, Hasan loves taking credit for moral behavior that he didn't actually participate in. For those of you who aren't aware, YouTuber Ethan Klein got tired of being harassed by Hasan and his fan base because they were like making false reports to the CPS, trying to get his kids taken away. And Twitch and other social media platforms have done nothing to mitigate this, despite it being against the rules. So when 3 Hasan Piker orbiters who were harassing Ethan stole his content, Ethan made it seem like he was going to financially help these 3 girls who have supported him behind the scenes. Well, he didn't.
Oh, socialist, why won't he give these guys money? Trust me, if I offer support, you won't know about it. Okay?
I also want to make clear that I did not receive any support, financial or otherwise, from Hasan Piker. Hasan never even reached out to me privately to offer words of support. Speaking honestly, I found his indifference to my suffering hurtful, especially after he hinted he might help me behind the scenes.
Serves you right for relying on him. I will grant her some grace here. She made the right decision settling.
He didn't offer support, and we did know about it.
Exactly. Oh man, I can't stand Hassan. Like this coming out was like that. It was inevitable. It was inevitable.
It felt like he wanted to receive credit from the public for him helping me without providing any.
He pretends to help them as he throws them in the trash and spends all his money on gambling. Though, as it is sort of the theme of this video, I don't think there's anything grassroots about Hassan's success at all. Hassan was basically installed into his position, yet he wants people to think that he was some go-getter kid who grew up in the school of hard knocks, instead of the reality, which is that he grew up extremely rich and was handed everything.
He's got such a fat face. Look at him. And he's got that polo outfit on. He's on a horse. He's such a rich little boy, isn't he? He's got that tubby face. I bet if he took the strap off the helmet, he would have a nice little double chin. Such a chubby little kid. My goodness.
You guys probably know this, but if you don't, my uncle has a YouTube channel called The Young Turks.
He's a communist with a Gucci bag, got them Prada kicks, got to have that swag.
I gotta see if I can find a way to add that to my my points or whatever that people can spend on to play that on screen every time that we see Hassan mention. We can have that exact song from I think it's an AI song, so we're gonna use it. But man, yeah, no, Nepo baby, didn't earn a thing in his life.
It was like a 26-person shop. It was like a tiny operation, not that big, not that media behemoth.
It's bankrolled by, I think, the Qatari government. What is he talking about? All right, Grok. Who gives the Young Turks YouTube channel the most money? Come on, Grok. Find the answer. Reading stuff.
Didn't the Qatar government bankroll Hamas?
Yep. And Tucker Carlson. Says YouTube revenue, but come on. L3 Capital, Katzenberg. Okay. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's continue.
Or anything.
Oh, you know what? No, I was thinking of Al Jazeera. Yeah. Because Al Jazeera is like one of their primary sources, usually. So they just recycle that. Yep. Okay, Al Jazeera is Qatar. And then they cite Al Jazeera very frequently. So
well, they're basically the same thing, Lal.
Yeah, I was one step removed. My bad.
So I was like, yeah, I'll just go work with him, do an internship with him, and I'll live in LA.
26 employees? What kind of YouTube channel has that much staff? I mean, I'm at 1 million subs and I still do everything by myself. Not to mention that the Young Turks started off with millions of dollars of venture capitalist money. They're about as grassroots as the Daily Wire. So Hassan was handed a $60,000 a year job right out of college in like 2013. A lot of his fans were like 5 at the time, so I don't think they know how huge the Young Turks used to be back in the early 2010s.
Yeah.
He's trying to minimize their influence, but make no mistake, this was a huge opportunity.
I was dead broke and was critiquing.
Man said 60,000 a year about a decade ago in LA was nothing. Apparently that's dead broke. Really, dude? But also, I don't believe him. I don't think he's ever had to struggle. He likes to claim he has. He's also been shown to just be a liar. So there's that too.
Capitalism. And then people will be like, yeah, because you're a fucking...
Because he's broke. I think it's because he lost a fight to a couch. Hang on. Quick detour if I can find it. I have the other one bookmarked, but let me see. Oh, yeah. Here we go. What is this stream tactic from her anyway? Wait for it. Hang on, let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I doubt hasn't.
Well, in your genuine reality is playing a role in the struggle, just perhaps, yeah.
I'd rather see the clip. We'll just do this one.
That's fine. I think that's fine. So if a guy pays for my tab,
I think I'm getting your attention. I feel like I touched like a vampire touching holy water.
can I help you?
Yep, that's Mike from PA. So I could believe that he was broke, and I could definitely believe people call him a loser.
And I still do it. People are like, well, hypocrite much?
Most of us YouTubers have to learn this stuff
I hate it.
on our own, as opposed to being mentored by a multi-millionaire former legacy media pundit with a huge media corporation by comparison.
I mean, dude got noted into oblivion. Grew up affluent and didn't have to worry about much making enemies.
To what other creators
he even said
have.
it himself.
Then there was the move to Twitch,
story
where he not
changed.
only gained a lot of his popularity by outright pirating Gordon Ramsay shows, but Hasan pretty regularly violates their community guidelines and has committed far more serious violations than a number of people who I know who have been permanently banned off that platform. Yet he doesn't get in trouble. Not only is Hasan given protection that other creators don't get, but the CEO of Twitch constantly glazes him, even after Hasan continuously tries to push for people in his audience to kill his political opponents. The most recent example is this moment here.
And Destiny and Asmongold and Dan Saltman, whose addresses are all readily available in the same exact websites and platforms that they rely on, that their fan bases go.
Yeah, sure. Tell people to release the docs, Hasan. The docs. Yeah, that's what you're doing, Hasan. What? Can't stand him. Like, you know, people have used his clips before and gotten banned for things that he said in his clips because of the content of those clips, right? Yeah, Hasan is, I don't even know if degenerate is the right word, but he might be actually evil. Banal at best. My goodness.
Why on earth would dox people like that?
Yeah, I know. I don't understand. I think he just hates. What? Oh man, let me see if I can find that. That reminded me of another soundbite I want to get from Asmongold's editor. Is it Hates and Goons, Goons and Hates? Let me see if I can find it. It was from an Asmongold clip. He hates and goons. When he doesn't hate, he goons. When he doesn't goon, he hates. It was one of Asmongold's haters. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, he was so upset that he was hate watching as Mons chat that one time during the Game Awards. LOL.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was the stalker one. Oh, they used Chris Chan really in the thumbnail. I'll find that soundbite and probably extract it.
To find my address to harass me.
This is like the fourth time that Hasan has doxed people on his stream, yet there's no ban for it. Like I said, he was installed into power. They don't ban him for a reason. Oh, but technically he didn't say the addresses. Yeah, all he did was say all of his enemies' addresses are public and not that hard to find in front of an audience that is very politically radical. I mean, we watched one of these types kill Charlie Kirk, followed by tons of them saying, why not?
I'm actually firmly in the camp of that the person didn't hold radical positions. They just had radical actions. Everything that they would have believed would have been normalized within the left, at least the online left. So that's why I think the guy who took Charlie Kirk from this world, I don't think he was some radical leftist. I think he was a normie leftist that happened to have radical action.
They've gone too far with Charlie Kirk, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Candace Owens is doing a really bad job with this. She's causing conflict where none was needed. Rather, it should have been a moment where we all just kind of sat down and were like, this was really terrible, and we really need to hold the left accountable for this. But instead, she decided, let's profiteer off of this. Really, Candace? Come on. But yeah, no. What she's doing is making this whole situation way worse than it needed to be. But yeah, so the guy who did it was basically just kind of the standard online left position right now, and that should have been the talking point. But instead, now we're discussing all these conspiracies. It genuinely bothers me.
More. Hasan's audience is so radical that he couldn't even denounce a political assassination. Hasan knows the types of people he's saying this to, and he's helping his audience figure out where his opponents live so they can go hurt them. Because Asmongold is a fascist Nazi, right? As you guys say, it's not wrong to punch Nazis. Seriously, I don't know how it's legal for one of the biggest streamers to openly encourage his audience to assault people. The laws have to change. This has to stop. But Twitch allows this stuff because, like I said, Hasan's career is astroturfed. He was installed into power. He didn't earn it on his own, and he doesn't have to play by the same rules as everyone else, especially considering that Twitch banned a ton of his competition from the platform. But why is Twitch doing this, you ask? Well, it's because it's run by people who hate America, And Hassan is a major proponent of preaching anti-American values, as he regularly promotes and advocates for America's political enemies.
Is there a country that's done socialism the way that you like?
If ultimately the point of government is to improve the material conditions of all people, I would say China is probably the closest. And there are still plenty of failures within the Chinese system as well, plenty of issues within the Chinese system as well. But that's probably the closest, I would say, to an example that we should follow.
Do I need to bring up the Great Leap Forward or what? Like, seriously, dude?
And lessons that we should learn from.
China? You mean the country that had communist values that were so great that they used them to kill tens of millions of their own people? That's what we should follow? I'm not sure if this interview was recorded before or after Hassan spent like a week or
mental retardation.
Probably.
two glazing the hell out of China and soy facing over a copy of Mao's Little Red Book.
So cringe.
It's a small one.
And it's the first version.
It's the first. Wait.
Really?
Is that a Bible?
No, that's a
Dude, Chairman Mao was an idiot. Why are we pretending otherwise? Communism's never worked. It's never going to work. It's a flawed premise. It's built on envy, and the prescriptions that it entails are not accurate to how humans behave. Can we stop pretending it's going to work and try something actually, innovative, please? Because this is stupid.
Red Book. It is basically the Little Red Book.
The Little Red Book. It's the Red Bible is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some may say more important than the Bible.
Why does that sound like Hirohei? I know Hirohei wouldn't associate with Hassan, but that sounds like Hirohei.
That's crazy.
This is like soy facing over a first edition copy of Mein Kampf.
You have met me at a very Chinese time in my life, chat. In my conscience, I have already become Chinese.
All right. All right. I don't know what to say to that. I genuinely don't know what to say about that. Because before communism, we got things like Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Journey to the West, a whole lot of really, really deep stories talking about the cycles of life and empire. Got The Art of War. And after communism, we have cheap plastic crap.
I guess he does believe in trans races.
Yeah, I guess so. My goodness. And he does believe in assimilation. Why is this guy popular? Why?
Okay. We were already white Chinese in this chat.
I can just claim to be black and get the N-word pass.
Apparently. At the bare minimum, he believes in assimilation because he's clearly assimilating to China.
I've already become full Chinese.
Okay, so Hassan is white now. And China is so great that he almost got arrested for a meme on his phone. But at this point, I've watched enough of his content to know that he is basically a foreign agent whose sole purpose is to destroy American values.
Yep.
I mean, he lies constantly. You don't even have to understand politics to see that. Just watch the dog shocking saga. He got caught doing that shit red-handed with undeniable evidence, yet he has still taken no accountability.
Mm-hmm.
He continues to gaslight his audience, and now he pretends to play it off as a joke. By the way, if you're in his audience, he is incessantly lying to you because he thinks you're stupid, and he hates you.
Your understanding of white supremacy is so juvenile, it's infuriating. It's because I am a white supremacist. I'm moving to the white supremacist town, okay? That's why. I'm a white supremacist. I'm white. Shut the fuck up! You're so fucking stupid. I hate all of you!
Hang on. I didn't know this crash out was coming. I need to be prepared. This is like a fine steak dinner. Medium rare to perfection. My favorite kind of crash out right here. Oh, this is. I hope you're ready because this is going to be exquisite.
Wow, that was a crash out, lol.
Oh yeah, no, it goes. But we will enjoy this like a fine wine. All the crash out enjoyers, all the connoisseurs of Hassan's rage, take a moment and just.
You can just feed us this without warning, haha.
Yeah, you really can't. You got to give me a second. I got to get ready to enjoy it properly. So let me enjoy this exquisite crash out. Ready?
I'm white. Shut the fuck up! You're so fucking stupid. I hate all of you! I hate the woke! I hate woke! I hate the left! I hate the woke! I'm crashing out because I can't fucking stand losers like you!
What are you talking about, man? This is your average viewer.
Oh, you cut it off early. Why? I wasn't done with that. Oh, man. Of course, I'm not going to just look up the clips. That'd be too easy. I got to see it like pop up in videos, you know. I wouldn't dare look up anything Hassan does on his own.
That you were encouraging to show up at Asmongold's house. Outside of this, what do I mean by foreign agent? Well, Hassan is not American.
I don't have any sort of patriotism in my heart for America, but just in general.
I am not even remotely nationalistic by any measure. I don't care about those sorts of things.
Yeah,
but you
no
love
shit.
China.
So Hassan is not American. He's from Turkey. He grew up there and was raised as a Muslim.
I'm Turkish. I grew up in Turkey. My whole family lives.
He was born in New Jersey. He is an anchor baby.
In Turkey still, with some exceptions.
But then you might ask, how is he legally in America? He's from Turkey, but he's been living here for like 15 years.
He's an anchor baby.
Here's how he did that.
I was born in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and my parents wanted to do that so that I would have an American citizenship, so that one day I could be president. That second part's not true, but I then immediately was shipped back off to Turkey.
I don't see how this doesn't count as immigration fraud. They dipped his toes into the waters of America so he could have citizenship, and immediately shipped him back to Turkey so he would grow up Turkish. Then, when he became an adult, they shipped him off to a rich college. He gets trained in media through nepotism, and then he continuously promotes anti-American values and domestic terrorism when he goes off on his own. How is this legal?
That absolutely is immigration fraud.
It's exploitation of, I think, the 14th Amendment, or is it the 15th Amendment? The one that supposedly grants birthright citizenship. Like, yeah, it's just exploitation. It's using a loophole that really should have been plugged probably in the 70s. But hey, whatever. The second it goes away, the second a lot of this practice stops.
It's time to change the 14th Amendment because it's out of date, and it was ratified in the 1800s before mass transit existed. It's time to bring it up to modern standards. It's time to copy places like Japan that say that you can't become a citizen by birth unless one of your parents is a citizen. That's how it should be everywhere. Anchor babies like Hassan, who has encouraged his audience numerous times to murder Americans, should not be allowed to live here. There's a reason why people who weren't born in America can't become president, and there's a reason why when you get naturalized as a U.S. citizen, you have to swear allegiance to the country. It's so we don't give voting power to foreign agent stochastic terrorists like Hassan.
I mean, I get called a terrorist every day.
Well, you are a terrorist, so that would be an accurate accusation. Stochastic terrorist sounds like a big word, but basically it just means that you're a media figure who purposefully riles up your audience into violent ideology, followed by saying things like, hey, maybe someone should go assault some police officers or some ICE agents.
Another way to think of it is the won't someone rid me of this priest when the king says it. It's the same kind of thing. He does this all the time. He tries to skirt the TOS by doing it, and he gets away with it way too often because he's got favoritism, friends in high places. I'm wondering if the Young Turks donate to Twitch or something. Keep Hassan online, or like maybe one of the VC groups or so that funded the Young Turks are associated with Twitch, because this is getting kind of out of hand. He's getting away with it way too often. It needs to stop. This is why, like, I will never monetize on Twitch, not until Dan Clancy is gone and Hassan is banned.
This describes a shocking number of leftist pundits, such as Hassan or members of the Young Turks. Again, the fact that there are no legal punishments for this is insane.
That's the strategy every single time. It's misrepresent, slander, and then hopefully someone in your audience goes to kill him.
Right. Just like Uncle Cenk, you call your political opponents Nazi fascist, you have your news organization say it's okay to assault them over and over again, and then you just hope the rest works itself out over time. Now, what's also insane is the last part that's making people violent, which is that more and more Americans and people in other Western countries are being forced to share space with some of the most violent and abusive people. And
oh, is he going to go into the lack of asylums?
Nux jump scare.
You might want to refresh. It sounds like you're a little bit behind. But yeah, so if he's going into the asylums not being open, that was a really bad, I don't even know if I would call it a correction. It was more like a knee-jerk reaction to a system that was being kind of poorly done, poorly utilized. Instead of fixing it, we got rid of it. It's kind of like throwing away the whole vacuum cleaner when the bag fills. That's pretty much what we did. And then we never bought a new vacuum cleaner. So I don't understand why we don't have asylums anymore, because the purpose they served has not been replaced. But yeah, if he's going into this now, then I guess expect the Irina Zaruska clip and couple others.
I think that's called throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Nothing is being done to stop them. One of the most recent examples of this happened at TwitchCon, where a streamer, Emiru, was doing a meet and greet and was sexually assaulted.
I see.
And her bodyguard wasn't allowed at that con. If she had let her bodyguard, if they banned her bodyguard for detaining a perpetrator in the past. It's like banning pepper spray. Why would you do that unless the goal is explicitly to make it easier for criminals to do criminal things? Come on.
The corner of my eye, there's a guy walking around the side of the meet and greet, and then he walks up to me, he grabs my face, and he leans in and lips puckered tries to kiss me, and I start screaming. Twitch's security is like nowhere near me, nowhere to be found. I can see them, but they don't do anything. My security jumps up and shoves the guy away from me and is like, get the fuck out of here. And he's allowed to walk away and leave. No one in Twitch staff came up to me to like see what was going on.
This whole story is a huge rabbit hole with failures on Twitch's part that were so horrendous that any rational person would assume they were trying to encourage this behavior. Not only did Twitch provide almost no security, not only did they let the guy who assaulted Emiru get away.
Oh yeah, they didn't even try to press charges against the guy. Like, the police should have been called and security should have detained the dude. Oh man.
Twitch is toxic.
And the absolute gall to announce TwitchCon 2026 after this happened. Come on, you are going to have to convince people that security is going to be stepped up to a significant degree. At this point, you better be providing bodyguards to every single person who is a featured speaker or guest there. No more of this crap. But also the parties around that. My goodness, it's all degenerate nonsense. Like this is the kind of thing Mizkif does, and I can't with this. The whole like community out in LA and parts of Austin, even absolute degenerate trash. And I don't think I would ever want anything to do with them. Ugh. Yeah, that's all my opinion, by the way. I can't apparently make a moral claim without preempting it as my opinion. So if you want to get ban happy for that, go ahead. But it's an opinion. Back to First Amendment. And I didn't say anything illegal.
But they did everything they could to try to cover this up after it happened. By the way, this was 3 hours into the convention. It was right at the start. And thanks to Twitter being the least censored platform on social media, someone uploaded evidence of this event and it went viral.
I'll just start this by saying shout out to the guy who filmed it and put it on Twitter. Thank God someone was filming, because otherwise I don't think Twitch would have said anything.
Another Twitter success story, but get this. Twitch didn't just fail to apprehend the guy. Apparently he was a streamer, and their initial response before they were called out was to slap him on the wrist with a 30-day ban.
Yeah, shout out to that guy.
Yeah, the guy who uploaded the footage. What? This is the most insulting thing. 30-day ban? 30-day ban. For that? Dude, that's a perma if I've ever seen one. Not only that, if you know who he is, send the police after him. Good grief.
30-day ban for sexual assault is crazy.
Yeah. No, I would, if I was Emiru, I'd be pressing charges against that guy as soon as they find out who he is. Oh my goodness. Goodness, what in the world? Yeah, no, that guy should be in jail. Ugh.
Also this.
You want to know the worst part?
Yeah, it's the Baldman.
Had a security guard 2 years ago that attended TwitchCon, where another fan was attempting to sexually assault her, and the security guard stopped him. But because Twitch official head staff didn't agree with the way that he stopped him, which by the way was just him putting his hands on him and making it to where he couldn't leave while the police arrived, they permanently banned him.
That's a citizen's arrest. Totally legal. Also, side note, Tectone needs to hurry up and come back to streaming so that way I can raid him with just us. We'll say we lost the audience on the way. It'll be great. Anyway, what? The banning a guy for doing his job, it's like you want to protect the degenerates at that point, not discourage that bad behavior. For crying out loud. Come on. Female streamers have a very, very real issue that they face that males don't usually. It's the parasociality. They get it way worse than a lot of guys do. And it's because of, I think it's like relationship projecting or something like that. And plus, I think in terms of mental illness, schizophrenia is higher in men than it is in women overall, is my understanding. And yeah, so why would you not allow her to have her bodyguard if he just did his job in a way that was in compliance with the law? Is it bad optics or something?
They get a buff in viewers, but a debuff in safety.
Yeah. So let her have her bodyguard. Goodness. I hope she never goes to TwitchCon again after that, honestly, and I hope she tells everyone that she knows not to go. Like, there needs to be some kind of consequence for this.
From ever being a part of TwitchCon again. So the security guard that did their job to make sure that Emmy was safe was banned.
God forbid you do your job as a bodyguard, you'll get banned from TwitchCon. God forbid you say that men shouldn't be in women's sports, Twitch will ban you for life for that. But if you sexually assault someone on camera, you get a slap on the wrist, 1 month ban.
I asked them, like, what are they going to do about this? And you know what they said initially? They said, oh, well, he's banned from the platform for 30 days. What?
And twice in that day, Emiru was wronged. Once with that absolute degenerate, and twice by Twitch. And this is the society we're building around. We enable this behavior. We allow this behavior. At this point, allowing it is enabling it.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. So you see why I have my chat set up the way I do on Twitch. It's just this is obscene.
We need a Christian nation.
Yeah. I would say at least to just enforce the law.
Otherwise, this degeneracy will continue.
We need to bring back shame. Shame was healthy. Let's bring it back.
What? No one gives a fuck if he's banned on Twitch or not.
And this isn't the only time that Twitch has essentially levied no punishment for this kind of behavior. Twitch regularly ignores criminal or dangerous activity on its platform. The safety and security of all those attending TwitchCon is our highest priority. No, it's not. That's a straight up lie. In fact, they were so negligent that I think it's no longer safe for any creator to attend TwitchCon in the future.
Some people at Twitch and Amazon are watching right now. Please just listen. Like, people aren't saying this for no reason. Like, I feel like you guys don't get it or something. Like, I could have literally been stabbed yesterday. Literally. Like.
Right. She could have been stabbed.
What fitting footage to cut in? Oh, man. Yeah. No, that's... When security is that bad, I mean, how do you, in good conscience, recommend anyone go to an event like that? Like, seriously.
Man, that's just depressing.
It really is.
Sexual assault is bad, but the real danger is that someone could have easily ended her life that day. So it makes me a little uncomfortable seeing this happen at a Twitch event, especially when Twitch, as a platform that's owned by Amazon, is at the forefront of radicalizing people into this type of behavior.
Twitch, you're fucking with the wrong people, and you're promoting the wrong people.
Yep. Bans Tectone for calling Frogan fat for what, a month? Or was it like 2 weeks? I can't even remember. Hassan calls for the death of a sitting U.S. senator. 1 day.
Old man has a point.
Yep. The baldest. For love, come on.
Genuinely. And it's at this level that I have to assume that what you're doing is intentional.
I've said this a ton of times in my recent content, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's important. We need to make sure that criminals go to jail for committing crimes, and this kind of rhetoric has to stop.
The way that prisons are set up in our society, I would argue that they do not work. They do not make us safer.
Isn't that Zoran Mamdani, the mayor-elect of New York City? What is the foundation of this opinion? I think prisons do not work. Is he just citing recidivism or what?
Yep, the first Muslim New York mayor.
And he's against prison?
Instinct is to just take that person, the source of that harm, the source of that issue, and then just throw them away. Put them in a cage and throw away the key.
Yeah.
And that doesn't address the reason why that harm was created in the first place.
Then what was the reason that harm was created in the first place? Because clearly letting them walk free wasn't helping the situation, now was it?
A lot of times, people who create trauma for others are those who themselves went through trauma earlier in their own lives.
Right. I don't care. If that trauma leads you to commit a crime, you go to jail. Why should I care about the trauma of the perpetrator?
We should probably castrate them too, but that's considered cruel and unusual.
Yeah, I would just put them in jail. I'll be happy with that. Just arrest people when they commit crime. Like, is it that hard? oh man, we have to have empathy for the perpetrator of the crime, otherwise it's not fair. No, we don't. This is why I don't like empathy as a term. Sympathy. I'm with Charlie Kirk on that one all the way. Like,
I think we should bring in the penis guillotine.
learn to spell, but also, Nux, is that you? You sneak into my chat? Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, so this is, I don't understand his logic. He's saying we have to have empathy for the criminal. Why? You have people who are traumatized every day that don't commit these crimes. What makes the trauma of the criminal more valid than the trauma of those who suffer every day at the hands of the criminals? Are we just going to let this traumatized person go traumatize other people? Is that what you want? Because, Mr. Mondani, that is unwise at best. It's just bad policy. It doesn't track.
Empathy for the guilty is cruelty to the innocent.
Yeah, you can have sympathy. You can take into context the trauma, but that should not diminish the consequences. If, like, let's say the crime is serious. I don't know, if I'm sympathetic towards someone who was speeding and got pulled over speeding because they were late to work, so I throw out the ticket, that's one thing, right? Having empathy for a murderer and using that as a reason not to give them the max sentence? Come on. Everyone suffers. Why should we consider the suffering of the murderer over the suffering that he caused towards the victims and the victim and the victim's family? You can't undo murder.
Not only not giving them the max sentence, but letting them go scot-free.
Yeah, that bothers me on like a very human level. It makes me sick. It makes me sick to my stomach, knowing that these perpetrators of crime are always getting off easy when they really should just be in jail. So you want to close down the jails, I guess, fine. But what are you going to replace them with? Because you can't just let these people walk free. They're too dangerous. It's a safety concern. Ugh.
And I bring all of this up to say that,
Honestly,
again,
this is
like
how
when we
you
talk
get
about policing,
vigilante
I don't think
justice.
Yeah, if the goal is to create Batman, I guess this is how it's gonna happen.
this system actually makes us safer. I think what it does is it just removes problems out of view.
Right, and it turns out when you quarantine violent people away from polite society, they can't commit crimes.
Yeah.
Sure, they might go right back to committing crimes the second they get out, but at least you get like a 2 to 5 year cooldown period where they can't victimize anyone, and that in itself lowers crime rates. It also reduces the number of future criminals because, as he said, hurt people, and the less people you let them victimize, the fewer future criminals there will be. At the very least, keeping them out of jail doesn't work either.
And this is exactly what happens
when
Pegasus. You don't lock up criminals, when you don't punish people who deserve to be punished. They get more and more bold and more people suffer.
Why is it Nina Lynn? What's the reference there? Oh, if anyone needs to eat a perma, it was her. I don't know if she got permabanned though yet. She really needs to.
I don't really have any sympathy for people who repeatedly choose to commit heinous crimes. Sure, I think it would be great to improve mental health services and try to give some of these people a second chance, but personally, I think a lot of these people can't be rehabilitated because they don't feel like what they're doing is wrong, and it's not fair to force polite society to deal with them because you have empathy for the local homeless guy who likes to randomly punch women. I think people like Mamdani and these judges who keep letting career criminals back on the streets are liars, and the actual reason that they're letting criminals go is to make society more violent. Not enforcing the law is a radicalization technique because it traumatizes more people who will then grow up to be criminals, and it forces polite...
Okay, let's look at it like this as well. If they want to run the pure optics game, this is conspiracy territory, by the way, total speculation. But let's say Democrats release criminals so that way more violent people are on the streets. Therefore, when the cops do their job, you get more of these police brutality videos. If their goal is to defund the police, is to make people less safe, and to making people less safe is going to cause more police to have to resort to violence to de-escalate, because the Tyler Oliveira video actually does a good job explaining this. The escalation is near instant. They were talking about that. It goes from 0 to 100 instantly. And you can't always de-escalate. You can try. And you should try. But it's just not always an option. So yeah, maybe that's their goal. They want more of these police brutality videos surfacing so that way they can use that to rally their base, get more votes, and then keep the police funded so they can keep getting those clips. That's what it's starting to seem like to me. I also believe, again, this is conspiracy territory, I have a hunch that Democrat mayors like to go easier on crime when Republicans are in office than when Democrats are in office because it makes the president look worse. I can't prove that. That's just a theory. But based on what I've seen, that's kind of what it is. Like, I don't know. I could be wrong. But it looks like that to me based on things I've seen.
Yes, I agree with that theory.
In which case, how dare they do that? They are victimizing people in the name of political power. That's evil. Like, how is this any different than, say, Machiavelli's recommendation to remove the old royal family and then 3 times removed? No. And Machiavelli was like just pragmatic for the time. You don't have to do that because they know they're not going to get removed because they can just blame the president for the crime wave for some reason. Because the president totally can control the crime in New York City. Do they want him to send in the National Guard? Because at this point, they're playing political chicken. Something's got to give. Anyway, sorry, that was a rough tangent.
People to live in a PvP zone where they now have to be violent just to survive. Outside of that, let's go back to the phonics talk. The worst part of the study about the Charles Dickens book was not that they couldn't understand the text. The worst part is that they thought they could understand it, and because of that, they put no effort into fact-checking to make sure they were correct.
Delusional.
I cannot understate how much this kind of hubris ruins people's lives. Moreover, I'm really disturbed by government standards that think it's more important to teach you how to calculate the hypotenuse of a triangle than to teach you how compound interest works so that you don't become a debt slave. And what ends up happening is that you know a lot of stuff which makes you feel smart, but none of that stuff that you know is actually useful. So intellectually, you're no better than the average burger flipper despite doing all this work to finish high school or college. Worse, you have no idea how to tier information based on how useful it is, so even if you do self-study, you'll just start wasting time on crap that does not matter. I
mean, when my choices were some humanities and math, I always chose math. I do not like humanities because I find them boring, uninteresting, and, well, frankly, just wrought with propaganda. At least math doesn't lie to me. And plus, I wanted to be an engineer, so I took calculus. Look where I am now. Not an engineer because I can't stand college. But yeah, no, I get where he's coming from. I still think there's a place for adding mathematics and stuff like that as an intellectual challenge because you can learn logic through math. As long as you aren't just handed the formula, you kind of have to understand the principles behind it. And so where I will defend calculus in high school here, it can be the gateway to first principles thinking. Let's break it down to the most simple thing first and then work up from there. But yeah, no, I get where he's coming from.
The funniest example that I've seen personally is people who try to learn Japanese only from anime. They'll spend countless hours memorizing words like Demon Lord or Quirkless instead of words they will actually use like bathroom or train. If you want to know how people can learn multiple languages when you can't even learn one, it's because the people who know a lot of languages know how to prioritize high-value words and grammar, and they know all the most efficient learning techniques. Public school is not really good at teaching that, and the downside is that if you don't know how to prioritize the higher value information, and if you don't know how to learn efficiently, you will be locked out of the higher levels of skill development, which looks a lot like getting paid less in the job market when you become an adult. It's not your fault that you were taught this way, but it is your responsibility to fix it. And if you do fix it, you'll find yourself doing a lot of stuff that you never thought you could do. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, and I'll see you in the next video.
I do follow him on Twitter. I will like the video. I'm already subscribed. And we can leave a comment. What should the comment be? Good video. I
have now thought, and now I want to sleep again, lol.
Well, we still got time. We got a couple of shorter ones we could do. Let me finish up this comment real quick. I agree with a lot, but I do think there is. I'll just say good video. I don't want to spark a debate in his comment section. I will make the argument for calculus on my own time in my own comment section. Anyway, that was Think Before You Sleep. Very good video. I guess if you found anything I said insightful or helpful, maybe give me a like or a comment and follow me on Kick. Thank you. Come again. Bye-bye.